Today is maintenance day. This is the day we take the 4Runner, put it in the bay, and go through it, so grubby's on. So today I'm going to be changing oil, doing an engine inspection. We're also going to grease the drivetrain, as well as any other moving parts on the underside of the vehicle. We will also be cleaning the interior, as well as performing just a visual inspection of everything that we can see, just to make sure everything is in running order and that there's no hidden problems we might be unaware of. So first things first, we're gonna do the dirtiest job and change oil. So for the most part, Toyota actually makes this pretty easy to do, but pretty much every single time I've done it, I've found a way to screw it up and make it harder than it needs to be. So let's see if we do differently this time. So I don't really know why Toyota insists on putting two panels in your way to get to the oil filter, but they do. At least it's not too difficult to get them off. All right, now we'll find out how messy this is gonna get. Now that we have the oil drained out of the engine, we can now go ahead and replace the filter, which is located right here. So it's pretty easy to get to it. We just have to pull this little small cap off, drain it out, and then the whole thing will unscrew, and then we can just replace the paper filter there. It's pretty weird because I'm used to the traditional old school filters that just kind of screw into the side of an engine, whereas these are just like paper filters you actually have to replace. So this is going to be our replacement filter that we will be putting in the 4Runner. My personal preference is to use the Toyota TRD filters. However, Toyota no longer manufactures them for 5th gen 4Runners. However, AMSOIL comes in clutch and builds these filters pretty much exactly the same, with the metal ends and the rubber gaskets on the end, whereas the standard filter is just, I think, just a paper filter that has no gaskets or metal caps on the end. But I kind of trust these a bit more just because they get a good seal and oil doesn't slip around the side. It has to go through the filter in order to cycle through the engine. And just like the TRD filters, they also come with replacement gaskets and the tools you need to drain the filter cap. We got the new filter put in, and we did all of this with minimal mess, which I have to say I'm really proud of myself for doing, because this is like the first time I've done it without making a giant mess of oil on the bay floor, which is really nice. I only got a few drips and they just wiped right up, super easy. So now we're just gonna go ahead and put new oil back in the engine. All right, oil change is complete. We have swapped out the filter, put new oil in, and we are now ready to go. One thing you might be running into when you buy a used vehicle like this one is you don't really know what condition the engine is in or how it was used in its previous life. And this one in particular already had 40,000 miles on it. So last summer, I opted to get an oil test kit to get an idea of what condition my engine was in. So I had 70,000 miles on this engine and about 7,000 miles on that particular oil change. And I opted to get my oil tested and see what condition it was in, because I want to know if at 7,000 miles it was still good, or if it needed to be replaced, or if there was something else going on with my engine that I needed to know about. It took a couple of weeks to get the results back, so I ended up swapping my oil out anyway, but eventually I did get the results back, and the results are actually pretty interesting, and I'll put them up here on the screen for you guys to share. So basically the easiest way to read this is to read their comments on this, but you can get into the more technical section down below where they list what is in your engine by parts per million, and based off of that you can get an idea of what condition your engine is in. So it's really interesting to see these test results and see what the use was on this engine and figuring out what its condition is, and learning that if anything I'm actually changing my oil too often, which is not a problem I was thinking I was going to have, but here I am. Now, because we swapped the TRD filter for the AMSOIL filter, I am curious to potentially get this oil change tested later down the road to see how it's performing in comparison to that TRD filter that we were previously using. But other than that, that is all there is for the oil change. Now we get to put everything back together in the reverse order we started. Next up on the checklist, I have to re-grease the control arms in the front, and to do this, I have to remove both front wheels. So I try to at least re-grease the control arms and the drive shaft at least every 5,000 miles, or at least I inspect them anyway. I don't always re-grease them. And this is no exception here because the drive shaft looks totally fine. There's no reason to touch that. I just wanted to touch up the control arms because there's just been kind of an ever so slight squeak every time I go over a speed bump. So now that that's taken care of, we just put the wheels back on and we are good to go to start cleaning the interior. So we finished all of the exterior work, and I've just gone ahead and wiped down the inside of the 4Runner. I'm not doing anything too crazy because I actually vacuumed this just a week ago, so it's actually not too terrible of shape. But yeah, that's basically all we have to do today. And the only thing I actually have to do now is just reset the oil light on the dash here. All right, so to reset the oil light, I just have to press the odometer button and then turn on, hold for 10 seconds, and we're good. So that is pretty much all the maintenance we're gonna be doing on this 4Runner for now. We got some pretty fun trips coming up this fall. Really excited for this season because this is my favorite time of year. Cooler weather, fall leaves, it just doesn't get better than that. So I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye.